we would just drive by and act like we were in the neighborhood, and we would just drive real slow across her house.
That's right. Hey.
And look in the window, hoping, acting like we just strolling by.
Yeah. So we were mildly stalking, but we didn't call it that back then.
Well, you would know what stalking is like, sir.
Oh, yes, I would know, honey. Yeah. Welcome, family, to the Bacon Bits Podcast, where we desire for you to take the bits of information and immediately apply them to your life for success. The ground rules for our podcast is that it will always be encouraging, uplifting, and informative. The areas of life that we will be talking about on the Bacon Bits Podcast is dealing with having a balanced life. And I need to hear you say it. Say valuable. Information. Applied equals success. And that wonderful, melodic, delicious voice that you heard on the other end is my queen of queens, Diana Acosta-Bacon.
Hey, babe.
I said it right. Put that little flavor up in there.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't had my baby on in a little bit. We need to get this thing going. So what we're going to be talking about today, she says that, knowing that, hey, she's always invited. We're going to be talking about, since this is the wonderful months that people usually get married during these wedding months, the June, July, August, we're going to talk about marriage. And what we're going to be talking about today is the 3 stages of marriage. And what are those wonderful areas there, darling?
Well, as we can all relate to, the enchantment stage is our first stage, where you see somebody from across the meadow and it makes you want to prance across picking flowers and singing, "The hills are alive."
That's you.
With a speckle in your eye.
Ooh.
I come to the hills.
Y'all pray for us. We need.
So enchantment is when you're just on cloud 9.
That's right, girl.
Like he's just perfect.
Yeah.
She's a Coke bottle.
Oh yeah.
24, 32,
What you
24.
36, 24, 36.
Yeah,
what do women have?
I did a reverse Barbie. I did a reverse Barbie. The poor girl. She had no booty and she had no. Anyway, we move on. But yeah, that when you're completely, absolutely infatuated, like you can't find nothing wrong. Like, baby, you go ahead and be an open mouth breather. You're so cute.
That's right.
Eat with your mouth.
Thank you, honey.
Like, you don't even care if they eat with their mouth open. The food's falling out. They're so cute.
You're enamored, okay?
They're just so cute.
This
you're
is
so
that wonderful
captivating.
stage, okay?
And you're so charmed.
Come on.
You're so charmed that you overlook those things because you think to yourself, could this be the one?
Forever.
You're captivated. You're thrilled. You are in ecstasy. You are so preoccupied, and you just think about them twice a day, and
Charmed,
that is
okay.
Come and night.
Charmed life. Come on now.
Well, you can't get over everyone has hit this phase. So back in the day, before social media, before Snapchat, where we can see where people are if they choose to share their location with us. Before this 360, before TikTok, before all these things where you can have the location on you.
Yeah.
We would just drive by and act like we were in the neighborhood, and we would just drive real slow across her house.
That's right.
Hey. And look in the window, hoping, acting like we just strolling by.
Yeah. So we were mildly stalking, but we didn't call it that back then.
Well, you would know what stalking is like, sir.
Oh, yes, I would know, honey. Yeah.
He says with a creepy voice.
Because I was thrilled to see my baby.
He says with a creepy voice because he totally is like
enamored.
Pro.
Yeah. How did you think we met? I stalked her.
I didn't even know he existed. He had my name in a journal. This creepo.
Yes.
Months before he even spoke
That's
a word to me.
Right. Because I was.
Creepy?
Hey, I had creepy. My teen idol, what you call it? I was just like enamored with her. Okay, I thought like, my God, if I could have her, life would be perfecto.
Yeah. So you know what those you see those like Crime on Your Side TV show where there's a guy down in the basement and he's like got like this big plaster. He's got pictures and like little pieces of yarn clipped like where this person. Yeah, that's what John Bacon.
I wasn't quite that bad. Almost. But yeah. Okay.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we all have experienced the enchantment stage.
Yes, we have. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Where even if we haven't met, we already have an idea of what that person might look like, or at least what we want them to look like.
Yeah,
I know when I prayed for you, I swear I prayed you into existence.
Yeah.
And probably vice versa. Like, we believed before we'd even existed.
Yeah.
We have a set plan, and then we start either raising or lowering the bar. It's up to us, right?
Yeah.
Depending on the open mouth breathing or not, it's creeper. And then the second stage goes into disenchantment.
Oh.
Because now you realize he's an open mouth breather all the time, like all the time.
Stinky shoes.
Like you're hurt. He says things you don't agree with, and you start getting your feelings hurt real bad, and you start getting irritated and just annoyed, and maybe he doesn't invite you to things that he's having with his friends, and you start ruminating and making things up in your own mind that why it could be. You just go through the stages of disenchantment.
Yes.
Right? Things that you feel bitter, or you're uncomfortable with each other, or you're irritated with the little nuances of the person that you start recognizing after you get past the enchanted stage. Where you're not skipping so much as stomping your feet and slamming cabinets and rage cleaning. I've been guilty of rage cleaning in my days, for sure.
Yes.
Earlier days more than now.
Yes.
Where, I didn't mean to slam it. It needs to be closed. Right?
Yeah, because I'm leaving cabinets open. Yeah, that's my trademark. Let me know I've been somewhere.
Yeah. I always knew where John Bacon was in the house because the trail of open drawers and open cabinets followed him. I would just have to follow the trail of open doors, open cabinets, open drawers, and there he would be at the end of it.
Yes, indeed.
Usually with a snack. Usually. But yeah, this enchanted stage is where we're just, now all we see are the flags, the signs, and we start to wonder, can I fix them, or can I deal with this, or will it change, or if they care about me, it'll change. And maybe we become disenchanted because we realize, am I expecting too much? And we want everyone else to be perfect, but we don't kind of look at ourselves and say, well,
yes, indeed.
Maybe there's something I'm doing that's kind of annoying and frustrating and irritating as well.
Yeah.
But ideally, we get through these stages in an honorable way.
Yes.
Not only just for ourselves, but for each other. Because initially, we have to remember that we were enchanted. They are charming, and we do want them in our life. And maybe some of these things are where some compromise comes in. And this is where some maturity comes into the relationship, right? And this really goes with every relationship. Even when I know friendships, right? Yeah. Even with friendships, you think, oh, wow, this can be my friend. Like, we're going to go do this stuff. And maybe you don't like to do the same things all the time. Maybe you live across town. My best friend lives in a different state altogether.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right
we
on.
Never barely talk. But it's one of those things that maturity changes the way you look at things, right? So now we have to look at it with our feet on the ground and realize, do I want this person in my life? And how do you see this relationship rather than just how do I see this relationship?
And understanding that, that we need each other, in order for this relationship to flourish. It won't just happen overnight. And to know that they really do complete you. There are some things that, I'm strong in, that my wife might not be so strong in, but there's some things that she's extremely strong in, and I have no clue on how to do or what to do in those situations. So it's made it such a beautiful marriage to know that we know each other's strengths and to know that I can't look down on you because she knows that I'm not a fixer-upper, So to know that my baby has that gift and loves to fix things around the house, she doesn't look down on me because as a man, because I don't fix and do all those wonderful things. So that's where you come in maturity of like, guess what? She likes to do those things more than I do. So you have to know that, you know what, I need her in these situations and so many other ones.
Yeah, and you find ways to encourage one another in what your gifts are. And in maturity, ideally, in any relationship, we start to understand and maybe study and know like the love languages. What are our fighting languages? What are our anger language is? Because we're all a little different. And the reality is the thing as we grow up and we see either one of the parents or whoever our caregiver is raising us, and maybe we don't like the way that they deal with anger or frustration or sadness or disappointment, and they react in a way that we don't necessarily agree upon, and we say, man, when I get older, I'm never going to be like that. I hate when they act like this. I hate when this happens. Or we walk on eggshells, and we've all been there. And then you grow up and you start realizing when you're disappointed, you respond maybe the same way. And only in reflection and with not only self-compassion, but compassion with those that you are with. I mean, it takes time to like slow down, like pay attention to how am I reacting? I remember when before we got married, we had a lot of talks. We had workbooks that we worked through. We did a lot of kind of marriage counseling because we were blending two families. We both had been divorced before. We come from 10 years, each marriage and children. And it was a very intentional, every step had to be intentional and as intentional as we could have been. There's a lot of emotions involved. There's a lot of other factors that you have to be aware of and be sensitive to. And we tried our best, and I'm sure we failed. I know I failed 100,000 times, but in maturity, we ideally try to reflect back and say, how did my mother respond, and how do I want to be different? How did my father react, and how do I want to be different? And ideally incorporate that, recognize that in yourself, and not just allow your feelings to blow up or decompress, or either you implode or explode, right? A lot of people. And neither is right or wrong, but just recognizing what is the healthiest for your relationship. Yeah.
And understanding that, we being who we are, see things one way, but it's also asking, your significant other, how do you see it? Because they'll have a different objective. They'll have a different perspective on the issue that's at hand. And the way you both see it together can be a beautiful marriage on how to see who has the best options in that particular conflict. And guess what? Go with the best options. It's not about me being right all the time and her being wrong, or vice versa. It's about who has the best answer to this conflict that we're in, and to deal with and to act accordingly to who has the best viewpoint when it comes to that, and who sees it more clearly, and what's the best option for both of us.
Yeah, and maybe neither option works. And neither option might not be the best, especially when, you're bringing children into the situation, or when it comes to health. Like, there might not be a perfect situation, a perfect answer for whatever it is we're dealing with, but that's where our maturity comes in. And ideally, we don't allow our feelings to control or lead us, but to recognize them as flags to say, hey, there's a flag waving. You're upset about this, or this is a trigger for you. So I'm responsible for my triggers, not you. Now, granted, if I have told you, and I know I try to tell you all my triggers in the beginning of our marriage, and vice versa, these things are just something that I'm still dealing with. Triggers are just flags letting us know what we haven't healed from yet. That's really what our triggers are. And we get so angry at people, and they say they push our buttons. Be like, well, why are they so easy? Why are you so easily offended? Why are you so easily moved? Recognize yourself in this. You have full control.
Yes,
you have autonomy of your own body, and how you respond and how you react and the words that you use are your choice. Yeah. So I'm not saying that we have to be perfect or not be in a relationship. It's just, it's work. It's work, and it has to be intentional to say, I have to choose to be compassionate towards myself, to say my feelings are valid and they do matter, but it's not okay to lash out at another person, because again, we go back to being a young person, remembering what it felt like as a young person to be in a room. And we've all heard those silly laughs and jokes that people say, you know, whoever mom or dad rules the house, how's everything going? Well, it depends how they come home.
Yeah.
If they're in a bad mood, and everyone's on eggshells. If they're in a good mood, everything's great. But it doesn't have to be like that.
Right.
You know, ideally we reach a level in our life where we reflect back and say, what works for our family, for us as a whole unit? What's the best for us? And it's not about, like you said, it's not about being right or wrong. It's not a win or lose.
Right.
It's what's going to give us a healthier relationship. And if we're arguing over where we're going to eat dinner, it doesn't matter.
Right.
I still highly encourage people, just put a whole bunch, let everyone in the family put a whole bunch of ideas in a big jar. And whenever it's date night, whether it's family night, whatever, just pull randomly one thing out of the jar so nobody gets upset. It could be conversation starters. It can be what we're going to eat for dinner. It could be where we're going to go for a day. It could be anything.
Yeah.
But it's something that it's going to be part of what somebody in that group wants to do.
Yeah. And knowing that it's what, let's work this out. Let's not, withdraw, because that is a coping skill that people have. We need to sometimes just yield, just slow down. Let's compromise on this situation that we're in. And what we're trying to do is have a win-win situation regardless of what's going on, to make sure that we resolve this conflict that we're in, and not just to carry this stuff over and over again. So it is, how can we work this out? How can we help each other through this? Because we definitely always want to be in a situation where we're always helping each other become the best that we can possibly be. It's not a she wins, I win, but it's a win-win. Mm-hmm. So our job is to help each other and to encourage one another as we strive to be whole. Yeah,
and let's talk real quick about the 5 anger languages, because we all have our responses of how we react when we're angry. And angry is just another way of pitching a little fit as a kid because we didn't get our way, right? So first recognize what's making you so angry, because a lot of the times it's not the one thing. It's usually a combination. It's layers of things that have gotten you to a point where you're done, right? So let's try and prevent that frustration of, I'm done, I'm checked out. So we'll talk about the 5 anger languages. And the first one is righteous. And I think all of us have dealt with somebody whose anger language is righteous. Maybe you're the one whose the anger language is righteous, which what that means is, I'm right, you're wrong. So that's just completely driven by your ego. So it's easily to escalate. This easily escalates us to the point of like all the past, all the things that we bring up, all the notes that we've taken of the last things that we did wrong, and we throw everything into the mix. It's like all of it. You're right. I'm right. You're wrong, and it's just righteousness. And this is where we'll go to bat. We'll go to war over this because that's your fighting language.
Yeah, immaturity.
It is. It's very immature because you're not being kind. We're not being compassionate. And if you really care about this person, you want to always remember what's the healthiest thing for me to do. You want to guard their heart and guard your own heart. So righteous is never a healthy thing to do. And again, it usually never is the issue. Yeah. It's always layers and layers of things. The second anger language is indignation. Now I know we've been here. A lot of people who've been cheated on, a lot of people who have been done wrong, to, a lot of people who have been lied to. You just get to a point where you just say, how could you? You just don't understand it. And it's often like a really deep hurt. Yeah, definitely. Like, how could you do this to me? I thought you cared about me. The low of lows. Yeah, like we've all been there, right? And the underlying message is that the victim didn't deserve it. Right. Whatever happened, I didn't deserve it. You didn't deserve it. And then we try and figure out what's wrong with us. And it's usually never about the victim. Right. Who it was done to. So it's indignation. Right. The third one is retribution. We've all heard this one. A lot of people who angry people, I guess. Retribution.
The
Oh,
big
you'll pay for
payback.
that.
Yeah.
Oh,
the
you're
big
going to pay for
payback.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I don't forgive and I don't forget. Or we can go biblical and say, an eye for an eye.
Ooh.
An eye for an eye.
It's never the answer.
That's not the answer either.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so we're both blind. Now what? Like,
yeah.
Again, we forgot. Are you talking about a person that you loved? Remember, you're enchanted.
Yeah.
Remember.
The
We went through the enchantment
that you ought to be
phase.
thankful for, you know.
We went through this enchantment phase, and even when we went through the disenchantment phase, and we found little things and little quirks that we weren't so happy about, I guarantee there's a list of things that we personally do that we're not even so happy about with ourselves.
With ourselves.
That we're trying to deal with, right?
Come on.
And then that last one is justification. Boy, you had it coming. You should have known better. Well, if you didn't do this, then I wouldn't. Well, you made me. We hear this all the time. You made me do this. You made me mad. You may as well. You blame me all the time. I might as well just go and do it.
Yeah. Been there, done that. Yes, indeed. And anytime we're supposed to be in a relationship, we're supposed to be encouraging, uplifting. Relationship of maturity is for us to be thankful and to be free in the relationship, but to always be walking around angry and just mad at each other, disenchanted, just
disillusioned, disenchanted, disappointed,
disappointed,
depressed,
just
done.
Yeah.
You get to the point where you're just kind of like checked out.
Yeah.
And that's not a healthy place to be in any relationship. And that one, that last one, I already forgot what I said. Justification. It's like we hold the other person responsible for our behavior or lack of even knowledge of something, maybe. And let's try and go back to what enchanted us in the first place.
Come on, babe. Come on.
And we forget to go back. We stay in the disenchanted and we move into maturity, but then we go back into disenchantment and we forget to cherish the very thing that we claim to love.
Yeah.
And love doesn't change. Maybe you get to the point where you love someone so much that you say, this isn't working and I love you so much that you and I both deserve to be happy. This isn't at a place where we are right now. Whether that be in friendship or whether that be in a monogamous relationship, it's getting to the point of maturity to be honest with yourself and with the other person, to be able to have those really difficult conversations. But to recognize, am I in the enchanted stage? If you are, that's great. But recognize you're going to get to the next stage, disenchantment at some point.
Yeah, buddy.
There's going to be that point comes up, and usually it comes up when you're eating some food and you're hearing all the noises coming from the other person. And then you get to ideally maturity level. But let's try and reflect back. Like, okay, what's the best way I can honor this relationship?
Want to get back to being comfortable in a relationship where we talk about everything, to get back to being friends again, because sometimes you can get away from that if you're not careful, and you want to make sure that, guess what, we're still friends first and foremost, and that's where we sometimes get caught up of, we then lost the friendship, and which is the things that drew us closer together in the first place, not just being enamored, but really appreciating what each other brings to the table. I think this is a phenomenal point.
Yeah, I always found it really sad and really just striking to me how people can be in a friendship, right? And we can be friends, like you were just, you were just talking with Kelvin a while ago, and we can be in a friendship, and that person can go and they cheated on their spouse, or they stole money from their boss, or they go and they wrecked their friend's car they borrowed, or they borrowed $2,000 and never paid it back. And you're like, dude, what the hell?
Right.
Like, dude, don't do that. What is wrong with you? Bro, that was wrong. You messed up. Let's pray. I love you. Come on, man. Come on, let's get it together. What do we need to get you back on track? What do we need to do to get you back on track? Like, we're in there with them. We're in there. We're willing to fight with them. We're willing to fight for them. We're willing to encourage them. But the minute we're in a monogamous relationship and one of them upsets the other one, we're ready to deuce. I'm divorcing you. I'm out.
Right.
Like, what happened to, I love you, I care for you, you really messed this up. Yeah. How can we restore this? How can we get back to a place where you're healthy? How can we do that? And not everything is possible. I get that. But part of it is, hey, that just didn't happen. It's been happening.
Mm-hmm. Kill the ego, kill the pride, and really discover what is the issue.
Yeah,
that leaves us in a disenchanted state. Not just we went there for a little while, because we're human beings, so that's going to happen. But to stay disenchanted, what is that thing that's stopping us from
keeping you bitter?
Yeah, and growing in the relationship, and knowing that, guess what, we got in this thing together, and we should be staying together to live our best life.
People feel trapped in relationships, and to have the courage to speak to the other person and say, hey, ideally, and if you honestly can't go and talk to your loved one and say, I feel trapped in this relationship, I'm not happy, or I'm upset, this really upsets me when you do this, or how can, when that happens, it's not that you're doing it, but it upsets me so much. Can we talk about this? If they're not approachable, if they're not willing to even have a discussion with you, that's a problem. Yeah.
And you got to be careful on your own part, because, I know this is something that was really hard for me for a long time, to be able to articulate your words of why you're unhappy and why you're disenchanted in the relationship. Yeah. Because you can just be frustrated and be mad, but if you can't articulate and explain to somebody why you feel the way you do, because me being a former angry person, knowing that was usually one of the hardest things for me to do, and what had to help fix my anger was being able to articulate that I'm not happy in this relationship, and this is the reason why. It's not because I don't feel good, it's not making me have that fuzzy feeling anymore, but to be able to articulate exactly what it is that's stopping me from being able to be fully immersed in this relationship that we're in.
Yeah, and even just saying that, right? Even being able to say, I don't know what. But a lot of people get so angry and frustrated, and that's part of learning how the other person processes their anger. When you understand how they're processing it, it gives us grace to hold space for them. Yeah. So if you're a fleer or a runner, because you're so overwhelmed, you don't have words, you can't force that person to talk to you, because then words are going to come out that they didn't want to say in the first place, because now they're feeling trapped. Yeah. So learning how to hold space for each other and having grace for each other, but having those conversations before you say I do is pivotal. It's so important, especially when there's children that are involved, because you're teaching them how to resolve conflict. You're teaching them how to speak to each other. You're teaching them with your actions, not with your words. You're teaching them with your actions, your energy that comes into the room, and how you're carrying yourself, and how you speak of the other person. Yeah. Holds volumes. Yeah,
speaks volumes. That's it. There's a lot that's entailed in relationships, and I think we don't talk about it enough. So it is getting from that being enchanted, getting past the disenchanted, and we don't see the things that we want it to be, to getting to the point where it's mature. Yeah. And that is, guess what? This is how we ride this thing out.
Yeah, and it's not about age, right? Yeah, don't assume maturity means when I'm over 50 or no. You can have these pivotal key conversations when you're 20. Yeah, you can have these conversations. It's just choosing to have a healthy to have a healthy relationship is the most important thing. Not about right and wrong. Your ego, kill my ego, and let's say what's going to work for us, what works best, and how can I have you feel your best, and vice versa.
Yeah, being intentional about having a mature relationship, man, that's where we need to be at. Yeah,
and remember to be kind and compassionate and loving. Yeah, if you love this person, truly love this person, then you should want the best for them.
Yeah, you got that right. Best for each other. Yeah, that's for sure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for this wonderful episode between me and the Queen. I'm so grateful for my baby, and I'm grateful that she still puts up with me, and she's so much still enchanted with me. My baby. I love you so much, baby. I love you so much. Guys, we love you, and we are so thankful for you. This is another segment of Bacon Bits. God bless. All right, what's up, family? It's your boy, John Bacon, from the Bacon Bits Podcast. Thank you so much for your support, likes, and ratings. Please don't just listen, but rate me, follow me, and subscribe. This is an amazing way to offer free support. My beautiful queen and I have some books that we have written for your growth.
So the first book we have is a workbook, actually. It's called Healthy Relationships, and this is a workbook through the lens of faith. because what makes a relationship healthy or unhealthy? So this workbook is designed, it's a 12-week, it's a biblically grounded course, and every week has a few different principles. So if some of our principles, some of our topics that we're covering are respect, cultivating security. And this is not just between a husband and wife. This is between parents, between siblings, between friends, between your bosses, employers. So it's really important, and everyone deserves a healthy relationship.
And also we have The Balanced Life by John Bacon. It covers how to be prosperous in your finances, relationships, your health, your mind, and your spirit. So you can pick that up on Amazon, also on audiobook. And we also have
The Unraveling, a creative healing journal, pinings, poems, prayers, and ponderings of my precarious life. I've had a testimony of I've had 2 brain tumors and 2 brain surgeries, and I'm super grateful, but I'm still grieving the process of healing. And this is part of the process. In this book, you have devotionals, you have prayers, and you have some ponderings. And in between these pages, there's a space for you to also be prompted to paint and to create your own, or maybe you want to write something in these books. This is part of your creative healing journal that we get to walk through together.
And you guys can just head over to Kingdom Servants First. Kingdom Servants, the number 1, st.com. And you can purchase all 3 of these books. Thank you for your support, your love, and your contributions. God bless.